about descriptive programming in UFT. What is descriptive programming? Entering the object information into test script is called descriptive programming. I'm not sure whether did you understand what I mean by this, but when I give you examples, you will definitely understand what is descriptive programming. Now, what descriptive programming is of two types. One is static programming, the other one is dynamic programming. Let's go through and understand what I said. I said that you entering object information into test script, okay, is called descriptive programming. So how do you access your objects? Let's start. So how do you generally access your object? You come to OR, add your objects to your object repository and then access them. So let me identify the object. Sorry. Object by the add it. Okay. Now these are in your object repository and you can access them. So you are accessing your object through object repository. Browser .base .web edit .set object. Okay. So if I run the script, it will enter the values in object repository. Now I will say that static descriptive program. Okay. Now, just for your convenience, just for you to understand it, I am deleting this OR. So you know that there is no OR. So you getting your object description through your script is descriptive programming, and it's of two types. One is static. In static, the description of object is entered as the form of a string. Now let's the same edit box I will access through static object static descriptive programming. How will I do that? I'll say browser description. So what will be the description of the object? How will you come to your object spy on it. What is the property of browser? Browser properties, like for example, this name would be enough to uniquely identify it. Name is Gmail. Okay. Then page property, let's say title. Title will be suffice. Then web edit. HTML ID is email. HTML tag is input. Okay. Okay. So how will I identify it? So just say title, say colon equal to is Gmail dot page and say sorry, I thought name, right? Name. This is title is Gmail. Then web edit is HTML sensitive. HTML tag was input, comma, I'm using HTML ID as well, which is address email. Okay, then I'll say set, what is, I'll enter some value, static. Let's execute. You can execute only this step by Control F5. Run from this step. Shortcut is Control F5. Could you see? It enter static programming. Okay. So this is how is the static descriptive programming. Let's do it as I want to say, instead of static, say dynamic descriptive programming. How will we do programming dynamic descriptive programming? In this case, we'll create a dynamic object, and keep on adding some properties or some properties and its correspondence value to the object, and thus and by this method we will filter that object uniquely. Like for example, how I identified it. Now the same statement I'll just convert it to, this is static descriptive programming, I'll convert it to dynamic descriptive programming. Like set browser object is descriptive function dot create. Okay. Then I'll give it some maybe name dot is what, Gmail. Same thing, I'll change it to base property. My new another object I'm declaring, saying the descriptive method create, and I'm adding a properties and its correspondence value to it. Now this is for base object. So this value I'll give it here is title and okay. And then here also change page object title, then repeated object. I am using HTML tag here. HTML tag is input. And HTML ID is email. So say browser object oriented dynamic programming. Have a look. Okay. Now this is how you saw how you access through your object repository, static descriptive programming method, and this is dynamic programming, dynamic descriptive programming method. Let's learn about child object method. Your descriptive programming will remain incomplete if you don't learn about child object method. What happens in child object method? Like first understand when you say child object. Now this is your base, and each of the element, each of the object on this browser or in this page is a child object to your browser. Like this label, this edit box, this button, everything is a child to this browser. Now, what the child object helps you? Child object helps you to filter out similar objects. Now, we'll see, or you can filter out the identical objects. Now, let's understand it. Child object method. To understand it more, I will come to this create account page. Okay, in this page, let me identify in this OR I am adding the browser and the page just to make it easy. I don't want, like for example, the browser and page is in OR, and now for rest of the object I'm doing descriptive programming. Now I have this many edit box. Now how does descriptive, I'm not adding any of this web edit to your OR, but I want to access them. For example, this name, first name and last name using descriptive programming. How will I do that? And using child object method. So say I'll do a descriptive programming just for this edit box. So how will I do that? Let's see. Just have now web edit object, okay, descriptive programming, and then let me declare the class, big class of the object. Class is web edit, and let me, and then HTML tag. Let's check what is HTML tag for this object here. The HTML tag is input. Okay. So now I'll say how many objects with this property, because if I can see for all this edit box, the properties, this class is make class, and your HTML tag will be input for all of this edit box. So how many such objects exist on the page? How will I find out? Say browser dot page dot child of type web edit. So what are they? Now it will return you a collection of objects, okay, and all of them are identical. So it should be stored in so I now say this is box. It will tell me how many such objects exist on the screen. Of it. Now I have 10 such objects on the screen, and I want to access them. starts with 0. So say 0 highlight. Let's see. Let me give a weight of 2 so that you can clearly see there. 10 such objects. This is first name highlighted, then last name highlighted. And if you want to access it, I can say dot set first. See? Okay, now I enter the value first name in this edit box. In case you don't want to use this index and uniquely identify that object, you can still add more values here. For example, in the same thing, you will look for some other property which will make it unique. Your HTML ID is first name here. So, let's enter HTML ID. And then let's see how many objects exist there. And in this case, though it will return you 1, then also in order to access that object, you have to use the index, like 0.set anything. First check. Okay, and see if it works. One object. So with HTML ID, by adding one more property, we could uniquely identify that object. Okay, and then this enter the first check. To enter the value, we enter the first check, so you can see it enter the value. So that's all for today. Thank you.